am Ernie Shimizi, and welcome to the 19th Annual Heart of the Hamptons Ball. Follow that red carpet. We've got a big event planned for you. The 19th Annual Heart of the Hamptons Ball wouldn't be possible without volunteers and people who are behind it, and you are behind it. This is our event chair. This is Meredith Cohen. And Meredith, who's our special guest here?
This is my beautiful, wonderful, handsome husband, Bert Cohen.
And he's your reason?
He is definitely my reason why I do this work. I'm also on the board, and besides him having heart disease, my grandfather died of heart disease, and my father died of heart disease. So my aim in life is to eliminate it in the next generation. I don't want anybody else dying of heart disease.
Well, I must say, of all the events here in the Hamptons, this is the best one if you're a heart patient, I have to tell you. You've got the greatest doctors in the world who are part of this. But the American Heart Association and the Long Island chapter, which is the benefactor of all of this that we're creating today, they've done so much to educate the public. And you know firsthand what that means.
Yes, it's terrific.
It really is. So putting an event like this together, I mean, you have your inspiration. How do you go forward and make this happen?
Well, I could never do this without all the people who have helped on the committee. You know, they say it takes a village. Well, we've got the best village from New York to out here. All my committee people are incredibly dedicated, very talented, and wonderful people.
So what do our viewers have in store tonight? It's going to be dancing,
the food, drinking. My husband does a lot of drinking at these events.
And healthy food, I gather.
And very hard, healthy food. And we have fabulous decorations and our new fascinators, which is what I'm wearing.
There's a lot to see, and it wouldn't be possible without all the efforts.
I also want to say that we could never have done this without the help of Howard Bluver, who is chairman of the board of Suffolk County National Bank, and all his help. He has raised so much money. Over $250,000 was raised by Howard. And all our sponsors are phenomenal.
So good to catch up with the Gruins.
Thank you. Likewise.
John and Joan.
Yeah, appreciate that.
We really appreciate all that you do. You're always part of the community, and tonight it's the American Heart Association that's being honored. Tell us from your point of view what events like this mean here in the Hamptons.
Well, this particular event means probably the most to me than any other event. You might recall I lost my son in 1985 due to unforeseen heart condition, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And it's a God-forsaken disease that really has no cure. As a matter of fact, that very, very dear friend of mine, ours, is in the hospital now, waiting for a heart transplant with the same condition. And this is since 1985, many years ago. The only solution when it gets severe is a heart transplant or a mechanical heart. An organization such as the American Heart really takes the funds that are garnished through these events and use these funds for research. And so much advances have been made in every aspect of heart treatment. I had recently open heart surgery, and 25 years ago we wouldn't be having this conversation, all because of research and because people that come to these events. It's terrific. It really is wonderful.
It's a lot to deal with, Joan. I didn't know that about your recent operation.
Yeah.
And your son. That's amazing that you've had to go through all of that. But progress and life goes on. The new motto of the this organization is life is why, my son is why, my father is why.
Oh, no question about
That's
it.
your motivation.
You know, there is no one who has not been afflicted by it. Joan's parents, her father had a quadruple bypass 15 years ago, and he survived. 40 years ago, he wouldn't have survived. He died at the ripe age of 94. So, every little improvement and treatment, every improvement in diagnostic techniques are wonderful. Saves people's lives and saves the agony of having a child lost or a parent lost. 94 is a good age. My son died at 15. That is horrible. But life goes on. I have 3 wonderful daughters, and I join organizations such as this to try to give back a little bit.
It does hit home, but progress is being made, but it's still the #1 killer in the United States. So thank you. Have fun. Tonight's going to be a great event.
No question about it, as they always are. And people like you, by bringing this out to the public, make it even better every year. And we appreciate that.
The awareness is important,
No
but it's
question
also
about it.
for our public to be aware of the great people. The two of you have been part of so many charity events here in the Hamptons, and we're so thrilled always to
You guys are sweet.
see you.
Thank you.
And I love those eyeglasses. That's his.
That was my business.
That was your business,
Right,
and a
right.
major business.
Absolutely.
So I
Yes.
always try to see what you're wearing, so I know that's the trend.
You got
It's so good to catch up with Christina Civetta. And last year we interviewed you, and you were our heart hero, junior heart hero. And this year you're the junior chair.
Yeah.
But your story of how you got here
That's
and what the process was is
a process. I mean, I was born with congenital heart disease, so I guess I'm kind of one of those unique people who I haven't only been affected by heart disease as a baby or as an adult, but pretty much throughout my life, and gotten a ton of curveballs of heart problems thrown in the middle. So I have had 7 heart surgeries, and I just turned 31 this year. So it's kind of, a real survival story.
And the last surgery you had was a major one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had my last open heart surgery was 6 months before I was getting the Heart Hero Award. So I am now almost 2 years since my open heart surgery, and almost 3 years since I got a pacemaker put in.
When you're such an inspiration. I mean, in hearing your story and what you've had to endure, but you've been on that wonderful cutting edge of medical science, which has made things possible.
No, it's really, it's amazing to see how different things are now. The American Heart Association is definitely the ones pushing the envelope for research and helping us get, new ways to test babies, etc. Whereas, when I was a baby, no one even thought to test a mother about a heart disease or anything, and now it's you can tell 6 months in advance if your child has a little heart murmur or a flutter or anything, so you're ready. So it's been exciting. I bounced back from my last surgery in 5 weeks, which I think is it talks about how much medicine is amazing and doctors are amazing, and now it's so advanced that it's not the way it used to be.
Tonight's Distinguished Leadership Award is this recipient, Mr. Howard Bluver, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Suffolk County National Bank.
Correct.
And I've heard so many wonderful things about you, Mr. Bluver, not the least of which is that through your efforts you've raised a lot of money for the American Heart Association.
Yeah, well, I've been a supporter of the American Heart Association for literally decades, long before I came out to the East End, and it's because I've seen the impact that the organization has on people, including my own family, and through the research that they do, through a lot of the marketing, the lifestyle issues, and I think it's one of the greatest organizations that there is. And so when I was asked to do this, I embraced it, and we've done really well. Everyone at the bank there is going to be about 25 to 30 people from the bank here, all of whom participated in this, and so it's been a great success, and it was really a labor of love. So,
well, you mentioned labor of love. You're a community leader. Mm-hmm. You're one of the top executives of a major banking institution that's part of the East End. But this organization benefits everyone, doesn't it?
Everyone in the community of all ages. If you look at what they do, in older generations, like my parents' generations, I have a father who is in his mid-80s. I have an aunt who is in her mid-90s, who were here because of surgical intervention, which was researched by the American Heart Association. Then in my generation and my kids' generation, hopefully that will not be necessary, because a lot of the lifestyle changes that have happened over the past decades because of the research that the American Heart Association does leads to more healthy eating, and exercise, and no smoking. And the American Heart Association is on the cutting edge of that research, so it does a great job, and it affects all people in the community, rich, poor, old, young, and they do a great job, and so it's been my pleasure to really support them.
There are plenty of doctors here tonight, and I'm with one who has a tremendous reputation here in the New York market, and this is Dr. John Dervin. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Dervin, it's fun to get out and enjoy.
It is. I don't get to do this very often. I work about 7 hours a week, so to actually have a time to come out here and enjoy this is wonderful. It's a wonderful event. It's good for heart research. Since I'm a cardiologist, it's good for me. It's good for what I do and for the future of what we're trying to help people for the years to come.
Well, we know, as it's been mentioned to us, of your accomplishments. You're a man who's in this field at the highest level. What does the American Heart Association mean to you? How do you relate to them on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, not much, but on a science and a learning basis, a great deal. Part of my fellowship as a cardiologist was paid for by the American Heart, so I'm very appreciative of the work they do. And they provide money, these kind of events provide money for research, and so when we think of American Heart, it's the research source of what happens in the United States. Okay, they fund a lot of research. They provide significant opportunities for doctors to do interesting things. Research doesn't mean you always find the right thing, but you have to try. You have to start looking someplace. You never know where to look, and sometimes we make mistakes or we come up against dead ends, and sometimes we find phenomenal discoveries. And there's new drugs and theories coming out every week. It's wonderful. Makes my job interesting.
And your job has changed over the years.
Absolutely.
With people are living longer.
Absolutely.
Changes have been made, lifestyle changes. All of these have contributed, haven't they?
Absolutely. We went from, I do angioplasty, and when I started out doing this 30 years ago, we just had balloons to open them up and hope that they would stay open. Now we have stents, and now they've moved on from stents to stents that absorb. And that after 18 to 24 months, the stents are gone. And that's a great thing. If you have a metal stent in there, you can only put in a couple of stents, and then you can't put any more in. And so you're stuck. And so that advance alone has been phenomenal. And yes, industry does it, but the initial funding starts with the heart, American Heart.
Bonnie Fuchs, you have a very important role here tonight at this great event.
That's true. I'm one of the auction chairs, and this year we're hoping to raise over $100,000 from the auction.
Auctions are very important when you hold galas like this, aren't they?
It's really true. It gives people the chance to participate on many different levels and to go home with an important memory of the night, and at the same time raising money for a very important cause.
So, for our viewers at home,
yes,
what was available to be bid on at today's event?
We have trips to Nicaragua and Tuscany. We have diamonds, furs, leather, all kinds of wines, all kinds of things for your home. You name it, you have the opportunity to bid on things from $50 to $5,000.
What a great way to raise money for this
Really
wonderful organization. Tell us about yourself. What are I know this is a volunteer position. It's a labor of love for you.
It is a labor of love.
How did you get involved with the American Heart Association?
I got involved many years ago, and then unfortunately my daughter's father passed away from a heart attack in his sleep, and that really motivated me and my daughter to become involved with the American Heart Association to help raise funds to help cure heart disease and stroke so other families won't have to go through what ours did and many others do.
Wow, you know, I've heard that throughout this evening of taking a tragic event, something life-changing, but turning it into a positive. So thank you so much for all the great work. Oh, look at this handsome, attractive couple. This is Nancy Lieberman. This is Michael. And Nancy Lieberman, you're part of the board of the American Heart Association.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
It's a wonderful organization. So it is my pleasure to be on the board. I'm now on the board for going on my 4th year. And since heart disease touches 1 in 5 people are a victim of heart disease, being on the board and raising money to help educate people about heart disease and for money to go to research just touches so many lives. And it's an honor to be involved in an organization that touches so many people. As a board, we raise money. We donate individually. We put AEDs in schools. We have done lobbying to get CPR in schools so that every child who graduates from high school in New York will be CPR trained and therefore touch even more lives. And that's the kind of work that the American Heart Association does, and I'm so proud of them. And then we do parties.
So Michael, your lovely lady brings you to great events.
She does that. She does that. She does great work.
We thank you for all the great work that you do. We mentioned throughout.
Thank you for publicizing it.
You guys don't get paid. This is all volunteer.
No, it's all volunteer.
It's a labor, and this is a successful event.
Yes, yes it is. We raise a lot of money here, and it goes to do good work, and it goes in the communities. A lot of the money that we raise, most of the money we raise stays on Long Island, and it goes to medical research on the island. So you're really helping your own community by helping heart.
Have fun and continued success. We're honored to be with our distinguished honoree this evening, David Adams. And David, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, and congratulations on this honor. Your area of research is pretty specific, mitral valve, and you've been a pioneer in that field. One question, how has the American Heart Association helped you in that regard?
Well, that's an easy question. My very first job at Harvard was all about the American Heart Association. I won a research scholarship that led to my initial work, that led to my first job in cardiac surgery. So I would say American Heart had a pretty big role.
The field that you're in has expanded, has changed, has evolved so greatly in the past few years. The latest breakthroughs are operations that don't require cutting into a heart, but can be brought in intravenously. Is that what's been happening?
Yeah, I would say that the two big innovations that I've been lucky to be involved in, one of them is just what you described, which is transcatheter valve therapy, where valves are introduced inside the heart without opening the chest. The other one is in patients where we have to open the chest, we're able to reconstruct or preserve the native valve as opposed to replacing the valve. So a couple of very exciting areas within the field of valve surgery that I've been fortunate to be working on.
You're part of Mount Sinai, the icon school of medicine, and it's amazing the amount of leadership and work that institutions like that provide. to the entire world. I know you travel the world teaching and operating and showing. How did you get into this line of work, if I may be so?
My father was a doctor. He died when I was very young, but I was probably always interested in that because of that. And when I went to college and wanted to go to medical school, I became fascinated by heart disease and heart physiology, and I always pursued being a heart surgeon. And I was very lucky. A lot of doors were open to me, and a lot of people looked after my career, and here I am.
So good to catch up with. We love you.
Thank you very much.
This is Diana Weir, and this is Laura Weir. And these are two people who we've known for a number of years here in the Hamptons. And you were involved in town government for a number of years. And an activist, and you're a publisher, author, you do all sorts, an editor. But you guys are part of the community, and it's so good. This is an important event, isn't it?
This event is wonderful. You know, it brings our very special hospitals, Southampton Hospital, and all the doctors, Stony Brook. I mean, it's the coming together of all these important people for a very important cause. And the more we support our local hospital, I think that's good for all of us. So we're very happy that Heart of the Hamptons is here, and the American Heart Association. It's wonderful.
Well, I know that your heart is to help all of the people of our community. If ever there was someone who's interested in how do you deliver the best of services to all of our population, regardless of what their financial status is, and that's always been close to your heart.
It is. It's a wonderful thing. Everybody should get involved in whatever way they can. If they can't come to a fundraiser, maybe they can volunteer some time or make a small donation to anything. I mean, to your church, to your synagogue. I mean, it's a wonderful thing to give back to the community that gives to you, because we do benefit from this beautiful town. So
right, absolutely. You know, we've got 1%ers in this room.
Yes.
We've got 99%ers also.
Yes.
And of all levels, people need the best in health care.
Absolutely.
And whatever could be provided.
I happen to be the 99%, but that's okay.
Well, you're an honest person. Well, have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Do a lot of dancing.
Thank you. We will. We're going to have fun.
I'm going to have a cocktail myself when this is over.
For a good cause. Me too.
For a good cause. So when they needed a master of ceremonies for this event, you know, I know I was on the list somewhere, but, you know, it didn't come about. But
that was the long list. I made the short list. I'm kidding. I'm sure they would love to
Chris
imagine.
Raggy, everyone knows who you are.
Thanks. Yeah, you know what? It's always such an honor to be asked to do, in any capacity, to be involved in an event like this, and especially with this crew, with the American Heart Association, and obviously being a Bridgehampton resident, it seemed like a perfect fit. So I'm just really
we've always tried to get you over to come and work with us at Hamptons Television.
You know what? I work enough during the week that getting me to work on the weekend ain't gonna happen. But if you are ever sick and you cannot rise to the occasion to hold that microphone, you do place a call with my people, and I'll have my people call you. No, I'm kidding. You know, I'd work for you any day.
The negotiation could begin. But I saw you on a national show a week or so ago. You were on the Talk, I guess?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
On the Talk, which is...
You're watching daytime television. Look
well,
at
you know, I like to see what the competition is doing. And who do I see but Chris Raggy?
Yeah.
That must have been...
It was great. You know, that's another thrill, too, is being able to not only just do what I do 5 days a week, but also to get some of these little side ventures where they allow you to do a little bit more than just kind of read depressing news headlines all day. So that was actually a lot of fun. It's always good kind of sitting there with a table full of women trying to get a word in edgewise.
Well, we're very proud of you. We know the hard work that you put into this and how serious as a journalist you are and what it all means to you. And an event like this, the American Heart Association, this is important.
It's a big deal. I mean, just look at the turnout here. They're not messing around when they get some really great people to get involved here. And this says you've been to a number of these events. This is a huge endeavor. It takes so much just to put something like this on. They do such a great job, and it's for such a great cause. You know, my grandfather had heart disease and died of a heart attack. My father had a minor stroke. Luckily, he's doing fine now. So it affects everyone. So that's another reason why it's important to be here.
Well, thank you for giving up your quality weekend time.
Please, this is quality weekend time. I mean,
and being here, and it means a lot to the 500 guests who are going to be part of this.
I'm getting a little nervous because I'm speaking for all these.
We love catching up with personalities. This is Dr. Stephen Greenberg.
Yes.
And this is Gail. And welcome to this Great American Heart Association event.
Thank you.
Are you guys Hamptonites?
We are.
We have a house in Southampton, so we're here every weekend, and we come back and forth from Woodbury to Southampton.
Well, Doctor, your specialty, we've got a lot of cardiologists in the room tonight, but yours is a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm a plastic surgeon. I specialize in all cosmetic surgery.
Excellent.
And I have an office in Southampton, Manhattan, as well as Woodbury.
Excellent, excellent. Events like this are important. I guess you guys are busy every weekend attending different things here at the in Hamptons.
We pick and choose what causes we want to support, and this is a really great cause.
This event is amazing because so much of the money that's raised goes to the benefit of the American Heart Association.
Yeah, and I think it's an exceptionally important cause, and it's true. A lot of the money goes directly to the organization, where some of the other organizations are not exactly like that. And I like to support organizations that you can see the results right in front of you. There are so many important cases and difficult cardiac and stroke victims that really need as much help and support as well as research.
Well, being a plastic surgeon in Southampton, that has to be the basis of a movie, that's for sure.
It's busy, and I'm thankful for that. And we see a lot of the Hamptonites in my Southampton office.
This has to be a top party. We know that already. But Deborah Halpert, publisher of Hamptons Magazine, wow, you guys do such a great job. It's Hamptons Magazine. There's nothing like it.
Thank you so much, and it's Hampton season. We're in swing. It's so exciting, and the Heart Ball really kicks it off.
Raising money, there are a lot of charity events, but the American Heart Association, which I know you're a part of the committee.
Yes, it's true.
The amount of money that's raised, the awareness, what it does, what a success.
You know, it's so interesting. I have a friend who recently went through heart surgery, and it was a surprise to her, and she came out of it, and, you know, it changed her life. But, you know, heart disease affects all of us, and this is such an important cause to keep the research going and to help people. I'm so happy to be here supporting it.
Hamptons Magazine, how many years has it been in existence?
We're in our 37th year of publishing.
And it hasn't diminished in any way. There have been others that have tried to become the next Hamptons Magazine, but it just doesn't happen.
We've been so lucky to change and evolve with the times and be at the forefront of everything. Our name is really synonymous with the community. Jane Krakowski is on the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and she plays a housewife on the show, and she refers to being defined by Hamptons Magazine in 2005 by saying, Hamptons Magazine says, I only cook in the bedroom. But even now, relevant, Tina Fey show quotes Hamptons Magazine. It's pretty phenomenal.
It's style, and it sets the tone. This Hampton summer, tell us a little bit, what's in store? What do you think about this summer of 2015?
So we at Hamptons call it the Summer of Giving, and we take it upon ourselves to help so many local charities and brick and mortar institutions in the Hamptons come to life. And right behind us is the beginning and the launch of our Artist Chair program, where we have top artists in the Hamptons designing Silas Mortar's beautifully made chairs, and we're up on Charity Buzz and going to donate all the money to all these charities, including the American Heart Association.
Thank you for joining us at this 19th annual Heart of the Hamptons Ball. For WVVH, I'm Ernie Shimizi.